Stay in this crazy market, or move to another state? We're so lost in our home search. Sold our 1100 SF starter home in the suburbs of Boston. Husband, myself, 2 toddlers and a dog. There are 0, and I mean 0 houses for sale in our area. There are more, but lots of competition. We've been living with in-laws, and honestly, we are thinking about a jump to an entirely new state, now that we both work remote. We looked online at houses in North Carolina, FL, VA, and even Oregon, and it seems like there are so many more houses. Are we crazy to jump? Or should we just be more patient in this market? So when we decided to sell that starter home, what exactly was the plan? Don't forget Florida has horrible house insurance premiums nowadays. What's your budget? I'm always up for new adventures, but maybe just rent at first to make sure it's a good fit. If you work remote and have the luxury or trying somewhere else, why not? I will say, having family around is helpful with kids, but it's doable. Moving to a new state where you know absolutely no one, good friend or family, can be difficult, especially for a family. Don't come to Florida. Sincerely, a Floridian who will have to pay $3,000 a year for home insurance in an area that has never flooded, ever. If your family is all in MA, I personally wouldn't move with 2 young kids. MA public schools are great, and don't underestimate the value of having family close by. We left MA, were unhappy in our new state, and just recently moved back. Yes, the housing market is brutal and definitely requires patience due to the low inventory, but we eventually found a place that we're happy with. I live in Florida. Do not move to Florida. It's becoming a dumpster fire here. House prices are stupid high, home insurance rates just went up, and the governor is driving this state into the ground. You're better off living anywhere else and visiting Florida for Disney or Universal. That's about as good as it gets. I'd avoid FL because of the crazy storms and the resulting homeowner insurance issues. VA outside Washington, D.C. is very likely crazy expensive. Delaware? Upstate NY? Pennsylvania? Southern NJ? Presently they're trying to walk back a lot of the WFH. If you permanently relocate, perhaps choose a place where you could both find work in your fields if it was necessary. Yeah, so if you live in MA, you'll never be able to afford to come back. That's just a fact. I mean, there's a reason housing is cheaper in those states. Have you ever lived in those states? Don't move there just for a house. Make sure you understand the environment you're moving to, because it is not like New England. Signed, a former Southerner of 4 decades now in New England. I'd hang tight through the prime buying time and wait for winter months. If you haven't found it by then, consider moving. One thing to consider is possibility of being called back to in-person work. FL has been on fire real estate-wise the last several years with a population influx, so I'm not sure that it'd be any easier. Midwest outside of Chicago has very good value on homes. Depends on what you are looking for in weather and things. Indy, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Louisville, Milwaukee, certain suburbs of Detroit. Columbus prices are going up, as is Chicago. One can get a very nice home in a decent suburb for the same price as a starter home in the Northeast. Culture of course is a bit different away from the cities, but not too far off in the cities or inner suburbs. If you aren't tied to job or family, a move might make financial sense. You did a not so smart thing. Good move staying with in-laws until you figure it out. I live in WA state and I'm ready to relocate now. The prices here are absurd. Florida has a major home insurance crisis, and getting worse. Expect to pay $4,000, $10,000 per year only for hurricane insurance. Also auto insurance, third highest in America. Teachers quitting retiring in large due to new laws. Do your research before you buy down here. Good luck. It sounds like you sold your house and now you can't find another house. Why'd you sell your house in the first place if you didn't have the contingency of finding a new house? Selling a house right now, everyone has to realize that it's not easy to find a new house or price. I moved from CA to SC. Sure, there's a culture shock, but my life is way easier. Way less competition for jobs, everything is way cheaper, almost no traffic anywhere except the freeway. Go visit some places, see if you like them. I'm on the West Coast. We just sold our home in Washington for a massive profit and moved back to Oregon, and we decided to rent. We can afford to buy even at these crazy prices, but the housing market is insane here too. Lots of people holding onto their 2 interest rates with low inventory. For now, we rent and let the landlords deal with all the home maintenance costs. I'll say this again in case people missed it. The only people who win with higher property values are real estate agents and banks. Avoid FLE. Insurance here is a mess and very high, as is cost of living. We are a nationwide lending service. From a lending perspective, the best location right now to move is Texas. The builder incentives are phenomenal. We are seeing builders buy rates down into the 5 range for buyers, not 2-1 buy downs. It appears to be the only location that getting into a newly built home is affordable. Florida real estate is equally as bad as the Northeast. $550,000 is not getting you much if you are concerned about having a school system community like you have in MA. Really depends where in VA you're thinking. What is your job situation? How important is it for you to be close to family? You mentioned Virginia. I'm in Virginia. What part are you considering? I can tell you 550 will not go far in most of our state in areas you'd want to be. We are not as bad as Boston, but still bad. So I definitely understand your predicament. I could not live with family. I'd probably set a deadline and then just rent. With limited houses you'll have to be less choosy and jump right away for houses that do come up. If you have flexible requirements in terms of actual house, then stick it out and act fast when something meets that criteria. Nothing is stopping you from also looking at homes in other states at the same time. Just want to say that I hope you find something soon, smiley face. I'm curious as to why you sold your house. I bought an 1,100 square foot home 25 years ago in the suburbs of Boston, raised 2 kids and 2 dogs, but I didn't think of it as a starter home and left it as is. Now it's paid. I'm retired at 56 and have a re-tax burden. Half of my McMansion's neighbors who all need to downsize but can't because there is nothing to move to. I don't think it's going to much better in the areas you are looking. My sister has been looking for a home in Raleigh for $400,000 for a year now. The homes you are seeing in many of those areas are plentiful or sitting because the area sucks. Bad public schools, unsafe, middle of nowhere, etc. I would not move far away from family, especially if you're used to having them around for support. We are making a move back to where our family lives after only 2 years of owning a house simply because our marriage, jobs, finances, mental health is having a serious strain without having childcare. If you are jumping states, I'd consider staying within a few hours' drive of wherever helpful family or friends would be. It's incredibly isolating to be alone, especially with toddlers and no help. I would not pick any of those options at this time. Maybe head over to the Berkshires, or even Central Mass. I would even consider going over the state line to New York. Some better deals on housing. The grass isn't so green on the other side, lol. Good luck. I think you're here asking a question you already know the answer to. It's not really a choice at this point. With that budget you cannot afford to live in MA. There are no houses available because 550 is simply not the budget for a 3-bedroom 1.5 bath anywhere within 60 miles of Boston. If that is your budget, you will be moving somewhere else. I know it sucks, but that's the price of a home now, and wishing and hoping is not going to change it. So you gave up a low interest rate mortgage for a chance to buy another home at a significantly higher interest rate?